answers, I change the questions. It's me, Austin!
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Brett screwed Brett.
Yeah! Can he do it? Cover! Oh, and a kick out! Unbelievable!
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, had to jump on immediately. Dynamite just going off the air, and I've got to address the 1,000-pound gorilla in the room. What in heaven's name is Tony Khan thinking, airing that footage on Dynamite, and what value did he think it brought to his program? For those who don't know why I'm jumping on here and doing one of these remote episodes real short and real quick, on Dynamite tonight, AEW television, the Young Bucks show the footage from All In London of CM Punk and Jack Perry's physical altercation. Let's recap that within the last week, CM Punk is on a program, on a podcast, having a conversation, and he explains step by step what takes place at All In Wembley. Then the Young Bucks talk about how they're going to release the footage. Now, if you go with the thought process on the two sides of things, one, you've got CM Punk. Is there a possibility that CM Punk embellished, elaborated, put his own personal bias into how he reported the events? Absolutely. Is there a possibility that he didn't say everything truthful? Absolutely. Is it even possible that on the video, the Young Bucks are going to show that he's a complete liar and that this is a guy who shouldn't be allowed in any company? If you're a fan and you've never seen it before, absolutely. So going into this, you were either going to validate everything CM Punk said or make him look like trash. If you did anything in between, you look ridiculous. This does nothing for AEW because for those who did not watch the show, the video corroborates absolutely every word of CM Punk's testimony. He had the incident at All In. Jack Perry threw out his comment about the glass and was ignorant. He came to the back. Punk walked up to him. From the video you can see, Punk is engaging in a conversation. At the beginning of the conversation, it's very clear Punk is doing most of the talking. If you watch close, when Jack Perry starts talking trash, he starts talking quite a bit of trash and then goes to fix his hair, and that's when Punk shoves him and then grabs him and puts him into a headlock. More of like a front face lock. Not even like a legit chokehold. It's a front face lock holding him. People break him up. It's over in a matter of seconds. Even the Young Bucks described it as a high school scrap out in the yard. So it did nothing at all to discredit Punk. It means that you drew your show tonight with people hoping to see Punk did something that he didn't already admit to doing, which you didn't do. And then they tried to turn it into a storyline about FTR were the ones who orchestrated this so that they would be distracted in their match at Wembley. And that's why the Young Bucks lost at Wembley and all this nonsense heading into Dynasty. Like, what are we talking about here? They did spend the beginning of the promo hyping up how much they appreciate Jack Perry. So look, I'm sure this will lead to the return of Jack Perry, probably in the Elite, because why not? And I don't know, because Nick and Matt, to their credit, in this particular situation, I don't know if they wanted this or if this is a Tony Khan exclusive decision. Kenny Omega, by storyline, is out of the company, but he is still an EVP. Did he have any input into this? Is this all Tony Khan doing what Tony Khan does? Getting mad because somebody talked trash about his company and trying to fire back in a way that completely backfires on him. All week they said how this was going to be a legitimate situation. It was not going to be a worked angle. It was going to be a shoot. Well, it was a shoot in the video, a work in the promo, and it was god awful. Punk was 100% right. And if this same thing took place back in the 70s, the 80s, even the 90s or early 2000s, no one in the professional wrestling world would have had a clue. Closest thing is when Batista and Booker T had their little soiree in the back, or when Jericho and Goldberg had a soiree in the back. But from our understanding, those were significantly more physical than what this just was. And this is now, we're talking since August, September, all the way 6-7 months. And we're still bringing this up. And AEW using the CM Punk incident to draw their house tonight. Their ratings, I hope they popped big for this because it'll prove one thing. AEW has nothing without CM Punk. Some of the best talent in the world is in AEW. They have a roster that they should be killing it on the mat in every single match. They should be focused on what they do best. And I can't help but think, for all of Tony Khan's love of the WCW product back in the 90s and early 2000s, and the way he's patterned Collision's logo and everything off of Nitro, and all of that, all of his fandom and his fantasy booking he was doing as a child all the way till Dynamite now, and all that all this is Tony Khan being a weak-minded owner of a company that is, like Punk said, it's not a company. He's not a leader. He's not an owner. He's not an executive. He's a Uber fan who has a bunch of daddy's money, and he's using that money to purchase talent and put out what he calls dream matches, which, let's be honest, they are dream matches to us diehard fans, absolutely. But the mainstream wrestling fans, they don't have a clue who most of the people on his roster are. Do you think anybody who is not a mainstream WWE fan knows who the Butcher and the Blade are? And you know that's a sin because Butcher and the Blade are amazing. Do you think any of them know who people like Lee Moriarty are? No, of course not. Because Tony Khan is drawing 800,000 people on the average week. He's not even drawing what TNA Impact Wrestling used to draw at their peak. And he's acting like he can go toe-to-toe with WWE. And what does he do? He takes WWE, one of their biggest stars right now, even on the shelf, one of their biggest stars, and makes him the focal point of the draw for tonight's show and does nothing to further the storyline. This was horrible planning on his part. This was a bad idea on his part. And unfortunately, for AEW, it makes them look weak. It makes their program look like a joke. And I hope, I can only pray, that AEW finds a better path forward. Back when WCW, he loves WCW so much, if you watch the rise and fall of WCW, or you watch the Monday Night Wars DVD, they have a conversation in there about how even though WCW was winning 83 weeks in a row, WWE was winning the ground game in the house shows, drawing the houses. WCW was not. They got the ratings on TV, but they couldn't put butts in seats. Well, now the live attendance is not the biggest issue on the road, but for the TV shows, AEW is filling up arenas on 1/4 of the arena and acting like that's a sustainable business model. It's not, because of their 800,000 people on TV. And I saw today where Warner Brothers Discovery was talking about all their shows and their success, and they touted that AEW draws 4 million people a week. Now, I am been out of elementary school a very long time, but basic math is something I think I'm okay with. On their best episodes, if you average all their best episodes, you're talking right around 1 million to just over 1 million viewers. Make believe that this week they have the biggest episode they've ever had in Dynamite history and give them 1.5 million. Heck, let's give them 2 million for Dynamite. Collision is only bringing in 500,000 on a great week. That's 2.5 million. And if you look at Rampage, you're lucky to get a couple 100,000. So we're not seeing 4 million people a week. It is ridiculous for them to say that. It's almost as ridiculous as Tony Khan doing what he's doing. Playing fantasy booking like these wrestlers who are trying to make a living and showcase their talent, acting like they're his personal LJN figures and playing with them in his little wrestling ring, instead of focusing what he needs to. What WWE said in their documentary, when they said, we didn't worry about what WCW was doing. WCW always worried about what WWE was doing, giving away results and all that stuff. And what did that do for them? It put them out of business. WWE stayed focused on their product, improving their product, putting butts in seats, like JR used to say. And that was the model that worked. That's why they're the biggest company in the world. That's why they merged with Endeavor and were purchased by Endeavor and became TKO for billions of dollars. It's why all of the success they just had at WrestleMania for a week, drawing significantly more fans across a 4 or 5 day period than any promotion could ever dream of outside of WWE. And you want to go toe-to-toe with them on something that makes you look weak, makes you look foolish, makes it look like you can't draw without somebody who doesn't even work for you anymore. Sorry, listeners, I don't mean to sound so angry, but I am a diehard wrestling fan, and I wanted AEW to be a destination location for my eyes every week on television. But this, they advertise as not being a bait and switch. So when you advertise it's not a bait and switch, to their credit, by textbook definition, it was not. It was an opportunity to see what actually happened. But they made the announcement making it seem as though they were going to discredit Punk and bring some honesty to their program, and maybe even make Jack Perry look good. And instead, Perry still looks like a snot-nosed Punk. They look like they can't draw without CM Punk. And it has nothing to do with FDR, so it did nothing for that. They could have just talked about how they were distracted at the show and not shown footage to prove CM Punk was right. What an insane bunch of nonsense. I don't even know where to go from that, people. So, until next time, don't forget, check out our sister website, frolifeplanning.com, for higher education needs or anything else you might need in the world of higher ed. Next career decision, just want to get some formal training. Don't forget all our music and sound effects provided by bensound.com and purpleplanet.com. And in the meantime, make sure you pop over to 3WA Wrestling, May 11th, Eisenhower Middle School, where I enter the ring once again to entertain my students. And I'm looking for a fight that night. I hope to see you all there. Until next time, take care, everybody. Have a great one.